Now, as many of you already know that the EU Commission is going to be imposing tariffs on all Chinese automakers. Ladies and gents, we read today that Norway will not be taking part from that tariff increase that EU, of course, will be imposing to the Chinese automakers. Norway said that that is not a good choice. That is not relevant or desirable, which is something that is pretty exciting to see a country like Norway not going to join the EU Commission on this tariff increase. You will know that Norway does not form part of the European Union, which of course they've got a choice, of course, to make their own decision, which is something that is interesting, as we are seeing here, saying that they are saying they won't be forming part of the tariff increase that the European Commission or the EU Commission wants to impose starting from the 4th of July if they don't reach a proper agreement with the Chinese authorities. So you will know that Norway, ladies and gents, when you talk of NIO, it is the first destination outside of China where NIO started selling their car. Norway, as it stands, ladies and gents, I think out of all the total 5 countries where NIO is selling their cars in Europe, Norway, when you look into NIO sales, it is the top performing country when it comes to sales. I know we don't get much sales from Europe. I know, of course, the sales that comes from Europe, ladies and gents, they really don't have much impact onto NIO. But still, when you look into those sales, Norway, it is the country that sells the most on average on a month to month. I mean, Norway for the month of May saw a total of 66 deliveries, or contributed 66 deliveries out of the over 20,000 we saw. Germany, I think, is the second largest or second best selling, then Netherlands. But recently, Germany and Netherlands, in terms of sales, they've been, of course, exchanging. Some months Germany does well, sometimes Netherlands does well. But as for Norway, it is a country where sales, when you look sales wise, ladies and gents, we are seeing them doing better, I can say, than the other European countries. Though the vehicles are not much, I know, I understand, but when we are just comparing them amongst themselves, Norway, it is leading the other European countries when it comes to sale, because Netherlands, I know on average they are selling like 50 cars, but Norway has been that country where we are seeing 66, 67 cars on average on a monthly basis, which of course it's not that good. I know, I mean, there were times that Norway was selling over 100 cars, which I think that was better. But one thing that you have to know about comparing China and Neo China and Neo Europe, ladies and gents, you will know that the kind of price that Neo is selling their cars in Europe, it's not the same as, of course, the price they're selling in China, which is, that is a very big effect. I'll make an example with the recent launched ES8. The price for the ES8 with bars in China, it's around $60,000. Whereas when you come to Europe, the price of that ES8, or which in Europe is called the EL8, it's around 82,000 euros, which tells you or shows you that, of course, the cars there, ladies and gents, in Europe are quite pricey. New cars are quite pricey, and it makes it even more difficult for a lot of people to afford the cars there. The new cars can only be afforded by those with big pockets, those that are, of course, somewhat rich, which is why even the numbers for Europe, ladies and gents, are not that much. So price-wise, there is a much difference from the prices that you're selling their cars in Europe and prices that NIO is selling their cars in, of course, China. But of course, we are still seeing some numbers coming in, which is something that I think is decent. But the good thing is that when you look into Europe, ladies and gents, should the tariff not hurt much, then NIO's sub-brands should do much better, I think, in Europe, especially Firefly, because Firefly, you will know that initially NIO was intending to launch that car in Europe, but now they're going to launch it in China, which, looking at the kind of a price that Firefly ranges on, I think even with tariffs in Europe, that car can do well because it is quite cheap, and over and above all things, those that buy will have an option to use battery swapping station, which I think as it stands, battery swapping station remain that thing that fascinates a lot of people, even still in China and also outside of China. So a lot of people, when they buy EVs, I think they will prefer buying an EV that has the potential or the capabilities of swapping, which I think Firefly together with Onvo will really stimulate the market for NIO in Europe with those two brands. But as I've said, I'm happy that, of course, Norway, which is the country where NIO is doing the most when it comes to sales compared to the other European countries, I'm happy that they are not going to partake into this tariff increase that the EU Commission wants to impose onto the Chinese automakers. Now, you will know that year to date, ladies and gents, Norway has sold around 333, or as of yesterday, Norway has sold around 333 NIO vehicles, which, of course, I know, like I said, to some people, they want to see more. I also want to see more, but we have to understand one thing, and that is NIO cars cannot be afforded by many people in Europe because not many people can afford the NIO cars in China. What about those that are in Europe? Because prices, because of the current tariffs that are in place, they make those cars to be even much expensive. So for now, I think we just have to take whatever we are getting from Europe, but hopefully things get better with time. And one of the things that I said about NIO is that, of course, NIO might have to readjust some of their strategies for Europe after the tariff increase. But the good thing with NIO is that Europe, you'll know that you have got an option to either buy the car or lease the car, which leasing, ladies and gents, NIO recently, I think they adjusted some of their prices for leasing, which makes it easier for people to afford their cars, which hopefully that gets them more customers. But otherwise, buying remains, I think, still very expensive to those people in Europe. NIO cars remains to be quite expensive for them. But NIO, you'll know that with Europe, they say that once they get to see at least orders getting to a certain point, I think 5,000 is their target number. If Europe can produce 5,000 monthly deliveries or 5,000 orders, then NIO will consider opening a factory or making partnerships and open factory in Europe, which is something that is pretty exciting and something that will make the NIO car prices to come down, because now those cars will be produced locally. So that's another thing that we hope the NIO to get to, and with the sub brands, hopefully those two brands or two more brands that NIO will introduce into Europe does well and make them get the enough sales in a way that they open a new factory around Europe. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I remain long and strong onto the NIO stock. Yes, stock price might not be trading where we want, but I still remain long and strong onto the NIO stock. I still think that 2025 we are still going to reach profitability. I don't know which quarter, but I believe that 2025 is a year we will reach profitability, because NIO will be selling a full fleet of their models and their sub-brands, which will make it easy for NIO to easily scoop 40,000 monthly deliveries, which that we look forward to. That I think it will happen in 2025. And guess what is going to happen when that happens? NIO is going to turn into a profitable company, and all these shorts, all these people that are negative onto the NIO stock, sometimes in the comments people are not nice, they are angry, and I understand some people have put their money. Some people did not even put their money, they just hate NIO. But I still believe in this company, which is the reason why I always say you need to do your own due diligence, so that at least you understand how NIO is growing, you understand how NIO is doing certain things, the fundamentals, because then once you understand that, you are comfortable, you become at ease. Even when you load the boat, even when you sometimes see sharp falls, you don't panic as much, because you know the fundamentals, you know what this company could be like next year around the same time. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.